This is the story of how we met. It is the first day of high school, okay? New world, very scary, don't even know where the rooms are, getting lost. And I don't know, it was third period or fourth period, right after.
Third period.
Okay, so after lunch. After lunch, I find, and we both had the same class, we had geography. And I get to the classroom, we're waiting for the teacher to come to unlock the door to go in and have the class. And I see Shelby just standing outside the door. Now, we're both quite introverted, especially, all these new people, new world, everything. We're going to be a little shy. But, she had made the conscious effort to try and talk to people. I was trying to do that a little bit more. But this is a moment I'm never going to forget for the rest of my life. She's standing there and she's kind of like facing me while I'm waiting. We're kind of, facing each other. And she looks at me and she goes, "Hello." And I went, "Hi." And that was it. And then we went into the room and it was the most awkward, I remember, I was in that moment, I was like, why didn't I say anything? Why didn't I ask her name? Why didn't I ask, we're in this cool arts program where we're both taking drama and, there's so many easy go-to questions, and we were just like, hey. And, then, over the course of high school, we became friends and whatnot, and we can get into that. But I just remember that specific moment for me. I don't know if she remembers it, but I just remember being like, I can't let that happen again to the other people that I interact with. So she really stuck out to me on the first day of school, even before we became friends.
I was like, okay, that moment to him was this life-changing moment, right? And I found that out much later because he brought it up. I should remember this. And I'm like, I don't even remember that. I remember the time that you're saying, and I remember, I'm sure it's true, but that did not stick out to me because I was also at that time, I was very goth, and I was this eccentric dresser. I had bright red hair, and I was very wild. I was not the regular person that you would meet in high school. And I was very scared because it took me a long time in elementary school to make friends, that I was not gonna have friends in high school. So my family was like, it's okay, just say hello to people. So I had gone into this new school, grade 9, and I had met so many people already just doing that, be like, oh, hello. And then they would introduce themselves to me and we would talk. And then about 80% of them just shut me down. And I was like, okay, this is awful. So by the time I got to third period, I was used to being shut down. So I was like, hello, and he was like, hello, and it was over, and I was shut down. I was like, okay, 80% check, next person, And so for me, that moment was it was part of a bigger moment of me actually putting myself out there in high school and going completely out of my comfort zone to speak to people. And then to hear that had a positive effect on one random person who I ended up spending a lot of my time with and my life with was so interesting because, I was very similar in that way. I was so scared about talking to people. And then he said afterwards he would make more of an effort to talk to people after that time because he felt so bad. And I was like, yes, goal achieved.
Can I set the stage and then you can tell the story?
Love it. Okay, go.
So I was in my senior year at Michigan State, and Kate was a junior at Michigan State. And we had mutual friends, a group of mutual friends for a couple years. My roommates and her roommates knew each other really well, and they were all friends in high school, but we had never met. So for 2 years, we hadn't met at all. And then one night, her friends just brought her over to my house, basically. And then the next weekend, we decided to, I decided that I had kind of had my eye on Kate. And we threw a wine and cheese party. Super cheesy of us. So it was 6 guys living in this house in Michigan State.
So smart though.
And we got dressed up nice, cleaned up our house, which nobody ever did. No guys ever did that. And we had really nice food and wine. And we only invited over Kate and her friends, basically, and some other females. And then, I started talking to Kate. So I'll let her kind of take it from there.
But I feel like it's important to mention that like 2003, circa 2003, there were not like college kids were not drinking wine. I mean, you were maybe drinking it out of a bag like Franzia, but like there wasn't a wine and cheese kind of bougie stuff that we have now for college kids. So that was funny because it was such like a move, but all the girls didn't care. We were like, we're down. We'll put on a nice dress and do this.
It was September of 2002. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I guess that's important detail for me. Yeah. Because we were like, ooh, like they're having this like fancy party. That's all it took. I think maybe a $16 investment and picking up your clothes. But anyway, so we got to the party. He was just kind of like in a little group of people talking, and everybody else ended up like leaving and dispersing from this group. So him and I were all that was left. We ended up talking. We were both working internships at the time in Detroit, but living in. And I just got back from Spain. We were both living in Michigan State, but we had just come off of having internships in Detroit proper. I'd come back from traveling, and we were having talks about this, and I could tell he was super driven. And maybe 5 minutes into it, he just looked me dead in the eyes. No kidding. We're not even half a glass of wine in, and he's just like, I want to date the shit out of you. So that was it. And I was like, this dude, he is so forward. He's so funny. Like, who would say that? This is perfect. This is it. This is my guy.
All right, I'll tell about the first part, and then she could tell about, her little part when we got to college and stuff. So we really met on MySpace. For all the people back then that know what MySpace is, that's where we really met. I remember, I think she was on her official visit at Utah, and I was at home, and so we was on MySpace, and I think while she was on her, you tell the story. Yeah, you tell the story.
Okay, so, so I was on my official visit at Utah with my mom and Coach Rudy. I don't know his last name. Him and my mom connected instantly because they're kind of from the same area in California. She grew up in the Toronto area. She went to Banning High School. I forget what high school he went to, but they just instantly connected, and she just asked him the question, like, hey, what good athletes, young athletes my daughter's age are coming in from our area? And he said, we have this one receiver named Kenneth Scott. We expect him to do great things
he
when
plugged
he comes in. Whatever. And so I was like, oh, okay. And he said, that's really it for now from that area. But yeah, Kenneth Scott is kind of like our big star, I guess you would say, as a freshman. So later that night, we're in our hotel room, and I'm on MySpace. And in the corner, there's usually like a people you may know banner or whatever. And I see this weird photo of like a torso with a tattoo on it. Like, it didn't even have a face. I was like, what the heck?
I was showing off my muscles.
And so it said Kenneth Scott, and I said, that's really weird. Like, I just heard his name today. So I click on the profile, and it said, like, Utah commit for 2010, number 2, West Colony High School, all that. So I just friend requested him and went to sleep or whatever. And then that next morning, I wake up to a DM, I guess is what you call it back then. And
you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. I shot. I didn't play basketball, but I had a good shot. I shot the DM.
Word.
They ain't supposed to know that.
Whatever. So, yeah, he was just like, oh, you're going to Utah? And I said, yeah, I'm going for basketball. I just committed. I'm on my official visit. He's like, oh, okay, cool. He was like dating this college girl at the time. And so that was that. And so Kenneth was on your official visit, right?
No.
Or were you on a visit?
No.
Yeah, remember? Because Blake Griffin went to play Utah, and I was going to go up with my mom to go to the basketball game.
Oh, yeah. You're right, yep.
Yeah. And so I don't know if I DM'd you or you DM'd
I DM'd you, yeah.
You DM'd me. But then you started talking about your girlfriend, which is weird. So anyways, but that's how we kind of met. Yeah. But then, actually, my first day on campus, I'm moving into my dorm. I have a box in my hand. I'm going up the elevator, and I'm not paying attention, just kind of, in a daze. And this guy gets off, and so, I press the button to go to my floor, and I hear someone say, like, Brittany? And I'm like, who the heck knows me? So I kind of look out the elevator, and it's Kenneth. And I'm like, he's like, Brittany, like, from MySpace? I'm like, yeah? He's like, I'm Kenneth. And I'm like, oh, you're cute. So that's kind of how that happened.
She just seen the torso, from the picture. She didn't see the face yet, so,
yeah, I was like, whoa. I saw his calf muscles, and I was immediately hooked. I was like, wow.
That's some nice calf muscles, man. I did a lot of jump ropes when I was younger. Got some bad boys just right. But yeah, man, that's really how it started. Like through that, me coming into the dorm, then her coming out the elevator, and from there, that's really how it started.
How old was I? I was in my 30s. I think I was like 29, 28, something like 30. That. It was a couple years ago. I'll give you this. But so we actually met on Match.com back before people were really doing this online dating thing, back when it was still taboo, and most people weren't really doing that. At the time, I was working in advertising in Chicago, and I was probably averaging 80 to 100 hours of work a week or whatever. And so I was really kind of married to my job at that point. And so for me, outside of occasionally hanging out with my friends, Match was really the only way that I saw that I could actually meet someone, and it actually ended up working out. She'll tell the story, which is actually pretty funny. But for me, I think it was like my last month of the subscription. I think I did it for 6 months or something like that. And it wasn't really, finding anything interesting. And it felt kind of like a waste of time. And it was one of those things where I'm like, all right, I'll just give it another month, see what happens. And well, this happened. So, but yeah, but she actually has a very funny version of the story because I'll just let her tell it.
Okay. So, so how I ended up on Match, because I feel like that's an interesting thing. So I was living downtown in an incredible studio apartment at the corner of Michigan and Walton. I was on 2 different hockey teams when we first met. And I was also playing flag football on Saturdays, even on a team that played outdoors in January in Chicago. I don't really know what was wrong with me, but I was definitely looking to meet somebody, but I also was looking around all of my athletic fun friends and being like, oh my God, this dating pool needs a lot of chlorine. Like, I love all of you guys like brothers. I will never meet someone who I like. No way, not gonna happen. I've been on how many teams now, and they, great guys, awesome. All of them are wonderful. I would write letters of recommendation for someone else. And so then I started going, I tried Match. All right, I'm not gonna do this anymore because these guys are all like really boring and this is not moving on. And so then there was this one day where you could do it's still on Match this way, but you can wink at someone and be like, I think you're interesting, but you don't have to put that much effort forth to see if they like you back. If they wink back, then you can actually go through writing a letter. And at that point, that was how MVP I was at that point, where I was just like, all right. And there's this goofy guy who's sitting there with both thumbs up, that is the exact pic. And I'm like, you know what? Even if we don't work out, that's someone I want to hang out with. That guy looks like he's having a really good time. So I wink at him. He does not respond for, I would say, I have no idea how long it was, because it was not when we got instant gratification. This was the days of dial-up and you'd have to go in and look. So it probably was 4 or 5 days. I don't know. It seemed really long. And I'm like, well, that's then I was offended. I was sort of like, the guy's not winked back. Well, screw that guy. I'm cool. Whatever. So I was getting more and more just kind of pissed off. And I was just like, I'm cooler than that. I'm at least worth a wink. And what it turns out, and I'll actually let you defend yourself on this.
In my defense, I was in Las Vegas with my friends and my brother for his 21st birthday. And it was before you had smartphones. You had no way of actually getting any sort of email or anything like that. So I had no idea she had sent me a wink or anything like that. And it wasn't until I got home, and I think it was probably 4 or 5 days after she had done it, I'd responded. And she actually told me that she thought I was blowing her off. And so that's kind of how it all started.
It was just such a distraction. I was like so looking forward to this subscription, ending. And it was literally the last week of the subscription for Match.com. And I get a message from Roma. And, up until this point, it was me trying to send messages out and, connecting with a few people. And, I'd never seen her on the site before because, you set up your proximity settings. And I think I said I was willing to travel like 60 miles or something like that. And, I saw that Roma was like in South Jersey or like, the Philadelphia area at the time. And I was like, oh, she must be like new on the site. I kind of felt like a creep a little bit. I was like, oh, there's like fresh meat on the site. No, but so she sent me this message and, sent me this super, just very casual kind of message. Like, I see that you're, orthopedic resident. I just, started my OBGYN residency. Like, it could get like super stressful. Like, we should talk sometime or something.
I was kind of towards the end of my subscription too, and I was kind of just fed up. Like, man, clearly there's nobody in the Jersey area. I was like living right outside of Philly at the time, so it was South Jersey, and I was like, I gave it a try and almost kind of done with it too. And it was Match.com. And I remember I had just gone to New York to visit a friend, and it was a super quick drive, very accessible. I had a really, really good weekend in New York. And so then I was like, let me just see what's in New York. So I like when I think the radius is like 50 miles. So I just like clicked 100 miles. And I was like, like the New York area. And then, and he popped up, and to that day, I had never messaged someone on my own. I gave myself a pep talk, and I was like, why am I being, stupid about this? Like, it doesn't hurt to message a guy, like you're trained to be like, the girl shouldn't make the first move. So I kind of was just like, it doesn't hurt. Let me just message him and see what's up. So I sent him a message, and then he answered, and his answer was like, as if I answered myself. It was just so normal, like the most normal message I had received on that app or that site since I started.
I just knew like very quickly, like into that first date, that like, unless I screw this up somehow, like I think this is it. Like I'm not that type of dude at all. Like I'm super picky, and like I'm looking for every excuse why this isn't gonna work. But like, I mean, she was just, checking all the boxes. But I think, what really, drew me to her is just, her smile and, just how kind she is and how, just chill and, laid back she was. And, her sense of humor, like her laugh, like, all these things were just like, intoxicating. I was just like, I want to spend like every moment with her like this.